This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney, Sewell. Today, we've packed a number of shows together to give you some highlights. I know you're going to enjoy the show. Thank you for being with us today. This is our final episode in a series with my bride, my amazing wife, Chelsea. And we just go into more in depth about her role really in our partnership, and such an important role. Could not have done any of this without her, and just her supporting me 110% in all of this. We have been a team, and she's my most important team member, to say the least. But I hope that this helps you to think through as you pursue your business, or your syndication business, and the level that you desire to do that. Your spouse needs to be on board in a big way, and so I hope you'll learn a lot. I hope you will continue to connect with us and reach out to info@lifebridgecapital.com or connect on the website, and we would love to help you. So one question a listener had was really how you've watched me grow and through all of this. And I think I think we could not just about how I've grown, but I think also we could share about how we have grown, you've grown, our family, how it's changed things. But first, what do you think about that?
Yeah. So we've talked a little bit about how God used, military and police work and federal agent and all of those things to bring this character in you. And Whitney's very humble, so he's not going to, talk about a lot of this, but there's not many like him, if there are any. And he has great faith. He has great motivation. He works harder than anybody I've ever met. And those things God did in his heart. And I think real estate brought those things out even more for him. And so the fact that he learned that you keep going and you can't give up, well, that character is in there and has been stirring and working. But real estate venture really brought that out and caused that to be exercised. He also is great with people. He can talk to people, and he's really humble. And so you really like talking to him because he's a really good listener. And that's why he's awesome at this podcast, because he thinks about how he can bless other people by the questions he has, and how he can promote other people on his show. And he's just so good with people, and his humility is just so attractive. He is a great leader. And so I think as he has these team members, they just love working with him because he's a good leader. He's able to encourage them to do good and great work, and just be helpful and creative. And so he personally has grown in so many other characteristics, because real estate has brought those things out that have been stirring in there, and seeds of things. And so real estate has helped grow all of those characteristics for you. I mean, I could go on for a long time, but anyway, I just think all of those things and all of your character is a big part of the attraction of working with you and LifeBridge Capital, and what you're doing is that you're just this amazingly humble, gifted guy with this character, and people just see that as attractive, and they want to be partnering with somebody like that.
And I hope everyone listening knows it's because of a strong wife at home as well. There's this support, right, of Chelsea has caused or helped most all of that, if not all, and then some. I would go back to also when we were at the farm, before we bought the farm that we sold, that we talked about. That's when I had read The Miracle Morning, and really made me think about how I'm spending my time in the mornings. But what that, I won't go into all that now. I've talked about it many times on the show, but what that led to was more consistent learning, I think, and reading. I've read more books since that time than I ever have in my life. I was not a reader growing up.
We used to talk about, we'd go on a date and we'd go to Barnes and Noble and we'd get in our yearly reading moments for 10 or 15 minutes.
We did not like to read.
Yeah, we would just browse the books and be like, oh yeah, I kind of like a bookstore. This is great. And then that would be all the reading we would do. We joked about that. But yeah, we're readers now.
Sure are. I think that constant education has helped to motivate me and educate me as far as being an entrepreneur around the mindset, but it's just business in general as well. I don't think you're born just being a businessman or woman. I think you're groomed, to be that, or you educate yourself to be that. One way or the other, you do learn those skills. And I think that constant education, obviously you're going to be talking to your spouse, I hope you are, about what you're reading. And I think we both learned a lot, through that, just that habit change, right? And not sleeping in. And I don't know that we were really sleeping in anyway, because, there was doing the horse training and all those things at the same time, federal agent and family. But I started being more purposeful with that time and reading and sharing with Chelsea. And I think it was an consistent education for both of us that helped us both grow in the mindset piece as much as anything, which led to many other things.
Yes, it's been very sharpening for both of us, your journey. And I'm very thankful for you rubbing off on me over the last several years in what you've learned and who you are. And he doesn't let me complain. So it's good. It's really good. It's just, he's been so encouraging by his life and example. And he's not that he's says don't complain, but he doesn't. And his life is just so encouraging to be a part of.
Chelsea, this process has been difficult. I think we've stressed that time and time and again during this interview. But I know that there are listeners who are thinking, well, my spouse is just not on board, or my wife or my husband, depending on who the listener is. I mean, they're just not going to go through all of what you all did, right? And for one, I would say it's not necessary to do it exactly like we did or that intense. It's not, you have to think about, well, how fast do you want to get there, right? I mean, there's so many things we could talk about there. But in this moment, maybe you have some advice for the listener just working with their spouse, or, even from the issues we had with that first real estate investment, those apartments that we talked about, the 2 triplexes, which were so difficult at that time, but hey, you're still on board, obviously, in a big way in pursuing commercial real estate. Why were you on board? I know we talked about it a little bit, but what should the couple be thinking about right now and for their spouse?
I actually think it was Dave Ramsey. And he talks about that if there are money issues in the marriage, it's not a money problem, it's a marriage problem. And I think about that for us, that the unity in the thought, in being together on the idea and keeping the big picture in mind and thinking long term, it just needs to be a daily habit to do all of that. And so the marriage is where I would start with making sure that it's something that you are both in faith for, that you are both unified in the thought. And the marriage is where you start, because that's just the foundation for the vehicle to get there. There's a proverb that says it's better to live on a rooftop than in a house with a nagging wife. And it's funny to think about, but I think we have to think about the truth in that if I was the nagging wife, or that, if you were, the angry nagging husband or whatever in the midst of it, it just wouldn't work. So the marriage is where you need to start. You have to make a choice. You have to choose consciously. I am going to get up and support this person day in and day out, and long term. And you just have to make that choice. You have to make it every day. You have to make it in the beginning. You have to make it when you're frustrated. And God is the only one that changes hearts. So again, it's just a lot of prayer for your own heart as well during that time. Your prayers matter. Wives, husbands, your prayers matter. God is not a vending machine. You are not praying to change his mind and give you the things that you want. But God uses our prayers as a part of his unfolding plan. And so we pray seriously for each other and for the business. And we watch him work. Be still and know that I am God. And I feel like that's been some of what we've done by his grace. So yeah, those are.
Yeah, it is a decision that needs to be made before you even start. Like, think through that. Like, just to decide that you're going to support one another. And from the beginning, there's going to be difficult times, but you're going to be unified from the beginning, and making those decisions together, and really open lines of communication is very important. But no doubt your prayers matter. The morning routine, like I talked about, that changed, I think, Chelsea's morning routine as well during that time when I started getting up early and doing these things. That encouraged her to start getting up early, and that's changed everything just in our business. Like I said, having that educational time and whatnot, but Chelsea hit the nail on the head earlier too. Just the time for us together when I was working so many hours, she's working so many hours in the home. It was time for us to still connect, right? Yeah, you need to make time for it no matter what, right? It was time for us to talk about the week, talk about the kids, pray together. It was just crucial that we had even 30 minutes in the morning, hopefully longer than that at times, but just that time to hold her hand. Right. And us pray together or us talk about life in general, just time to listen and to talk. So, and I would say listen more than talk. So, which is so important, right? Anything else you want to share about that before we kind of wrap up? There's so many things that the Lord has done, to bring success in this business. And I say success, but I still feel like we have so far to go. I know many dream about where we are now, and we dreamed about it not too long ago. It just there's many things that happened, and I've talked about it in the show often. But one thing too I would say is not only the Lord sustaining us, during very difficult times of working so many hours, but also through partnerships. And one thing was, I was at a obviously went to many conferences, and even after doing this for a good while, I was asked to partner many, many, many times and said no. I'd worked too hard to for us to just throw it all away in the wrong partnership, or to make a quick dollar, or to lose all the trust and respect of our investors that I'd been working so hard and long to gain. However, Chelsea and I, again, have been praying, mostly Chelsea, consistently praying for the right partner. And I was at a conference and met. I was introduced through a common acquaintance to Sam, who you all have heard and do some interviews now also on the show. And it was obvious that Sam was very talented and had complementary skill sets. And so that was crucial. He had been working in the business really hard. We had been working really hard in the business, but at different parts of the business. And long story short, the last night of the conference, I approached Sam and said, it was like 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night now. I had like a 1:30 in the morning flight back to Virginia, and this was in Denver. But I just said, hey, Sam, you want to get some coffee? We talked. I quickly just said, Chelsea and I have been praying for a business partner for a long time. You seem to fit the bill. Would you be open to discussing it? Maybe a partnership, and I made it very clear that it doesn't mean we're going to partner, but it did mean that I would like to learn more about him and his family and just what that would look like. And, he took me
took me home to his home briefly. He ended up taking me to the airport, but he took me to his house and met his wife at, like 11 o'clock at night. He was excited about the partnership as well. But that's where it began. And that partnership, the Lord has blessed that partnership in a very big way. So thankful for Sam and his family and his children and even his parents. And, they've mentored us in many ways. They're just amazing people. And, that's through prayer as well, and how the unexpected things, how the Lord has provided skill sets that we've needed to build our team, and have allowed us to move fast, and even other partners now, that people that want to partner with us that are completely unexpected, that it just doesn't make sense, honestly. To me, I think, well, this person could partner with anybody in the industry. But they reached out to want to partner with us, and I've seen those things happen. How the Lord would work many, many times, or has worked many times in ways that just don't seem to make sense. But man, He's provided. Anything you want to add to that, Chelsea?
Yeah, the partnership has just been huge for LifeBridge Capital, and again, I think you are doing what you're doing excellently, and Sam does what he's doing excellently, and God brought two wonderful skill sets together to make just this machine of business and partnership. And I think people even in the industry that look in from outside, or people that you have on your team, can look and say, there's not many people doing what you guys are doing right now. And it's just all, the hand of the Lord blessing and bringing opportunity and those kind of things. So.
Awesome. Also, I have to say, our family has been supportive. There's maybe skeptical at first.
Right. Why in the world are you selling this beautiful farm and moving and doing all those crazy things?
And we probably didn't talk about that enough early on. Just we did mention that we received some kind rebukes, which were, from loving people, right? Some not so loving, but mostly, our church family, our personal family did, maybe question, right? It seemed very odd that we're selling this amazing place, and to everyone looking in, all of our sphere of influence at the time, would have. We had great things going on. The farm, the federal agent position, which seemed amazing to most, right? Making quote great money, compared to most at a job, right? And especially with no college, all those things. So it seemed crazy, right? I know it did, probably more than they even voiced, that we were leaving. We were planning to leave all of that. But I think now they see it, and obviously are very supportive. And I just want to say, we couldn't have done it without the support of our church family and our personal family. We're just grateful to be where we're at now. And I've not worked the federal agent position for almost exactly a year now, and it's been amazing. So we sold that farm, and we didn't share about it, but you know what? We finally bought, or Chelsea did share a little about it, but we did buy another farm, and we moved. And within a week after closing on that farm, I left. I put in my notice for the federal agent position, and we left. And we said, you know what? It's now or never. I cannot continue working this many hours, and I was just missing too much. It was just had to happen. It's either we're gonna leave the real estate business, or we're going to leave the federal agent position one. And we weren't going to stop the real estate business at that point, for sure. So we're on a farm now. And anything about that, Chelsea, that you want to share?
Yeah, it's a dream that we gave up then. We just love having a place for our kids to run and play, and there's some really neat value in like farm work and taking care of a horse and responsibility and things like that for children. And we value all that. We just kind of enjoy our time out here in the quiet with nobody else and all those things. And so we just gave that, dream up for a while. And it's just the kindness of God that he's given it back to us. And so we're just really enjoying that. And just, it's a great tool, I think, in our family and for our children to be able to live out here again.
And I'll share, I've not shared this on the show, I don't think ever, but our horse training business was called Straight Path Horses. straightpathhorses.com. The website is still live, so you can go and check it out and see the commitment level that we even had to that business. And, there's not many people that were doing things that I know. I mean, there's very few that can do the things with horses, or just the tricks and all kinds of things that we were training horses to do at that time. And
we were not training horses. Whitney was training horses. Let's be clear about that.
But you're welcome to go check that out. And I say that to say, if you do, watch the video of Shamrock. He's a specific horse that we sold. He was probably the last horse that we sold, the best horse that I had. And it was difficult selling him and another one. But specifically, the reason I say him is because, a year after buying this farm, the owner of that horse of Shamrock, he had bought another horse from us years before that and loved that horse. That horse got sick, unfortunately, and they had to put her down, but he still had Shamrock. He was older and wasn't able to probably keep riding like he had been, and offered to sell Shamrock back to us. And so it's just amazing to see the Lord work in that. He was taken care of extremely well. And we jumped on the opportunity to buy him back. Now that it was just perfect timing. We had the farm. Now I can make my schedule, and we're still working on that all the time. But I can now make time for some riding again, and I'm just so thankful to have that horse back, not just any horse. And if you go and watch that video of Shamrock at straightpathhorses.com, you'll see why, and all the work that we put in, that I put into training him to be the horse he is now. But not only that, just that my boys can ride now, and I have that time freedom to be with them. We've done more camping this year than we ever have, and just more time as a family, which has been very needed after what you've heard over the last couple years. And so we're grateful. We're forever grateful to the Lord and sustaining us and what he has done for pushing us to do the foundation, for pushing us just in commercial real estate, and for pushing for the time freedom that we have now. And so we just share all of this to share that it's very possible, and it's possible in bigger ways than you've probably ever dreamed of. It's probably, it's just more, right? I've met so many individuals recently too that push me to think bigger and outside of my box of even multifamily and commercial real estate. And, so there's just, it's just a never ending growth journey, personal growth and spiritual growth for us. And in our marriage and in our family, and now we have the time freedom to think a lot differently than we've ever thought before. Anything else, Chelsea, before we wrap up?
We've talked about a lot.
Yeah.
To God be the glory is all I can say. We're blessed by his kindness, and even though I'm not discounting all the work, but even all of that, is just sustained by him. So just really thankful for sustaining grace and the blessing. And I get up and I think he's given us all of this, and just ask him to help us be faithful, like that we can use it for our good and his glory.
I also want to thank Chelsea for just the unending support, and just 100% along the way. Just so supportive. Could not have done it without her. Obviously our entire team, but I call Chelsea and our children even our hidden team members, because no one ever talks about their family and the support that's needed there to make this happen. So very grateful. Also grateful to our investors who have been so loyal in these deals and deal after deal, and the desire to partner with us. It's just been incredible to watch that journey from going from raising 250,000 or so in numerous weeks for the first syndication to now, I mean, just tens of millions in a few hours. It's incredible. That can only be done by the Lord. That's not the norm. But it's just the Lord. Also, we just want to say thank you to you, the listeners, the support. Over 1,000 shows now. I know many of you have been here from early on. And I hope, I hope that you are sharing the show. Obviously, we hope you're sharing the show and helping others as well through that. We would be forever grateful. We hope that if you have questions, that you'll reach out, right? That you will go to LifeBridge Capital. There's ways to connect with me personally there. If you have questions about adoption, Chelsea and I would love to talk to you and help you. We schedule calls with families often that just want to ask about our experience, and we want to help. We want to help you with fundraising. We want to help you think through different things and different international versus domestic adoptions or whatnot. We're happy to help and schedule a call personally to talk through that with you and your spouse. And you can go to lifebridgecapital.com, as you know, and connect, or you can go to the LifeBridge Foundation and learn more about the foundation. Obviously, we would, the families that we're partnering with, we would just be grateful for your support there as well if you choose to do that. But either way, you can learn a lot more about us there also. Have a blessed day.
Thank you for being with us again today. I hope that you have learned a lot from the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope you're telling your friends about the Real Estate Syndication Show and how they can also build wealth in real estate. You can also go to lifebridgecapital.com and start investing today.